Well, it's almost home.
The house was silent now. The echoes of laughter, of chaos, of children running through hallways had faded into distant memories. What once was a kingdom of shared love had turned into a maze of empty rooms and unspoken words. And in the center of it all sat Kody Brown, once the proud patriarch of a sprawling polygamous family, now just a man alone with his regret. No one had warned him that the thing he cherished most control would eventually be the very thing that tore it all apart. It started subtly. He was always the center, the sun around which everything revolved. At first, the wives played their parts. Meri, the first and most patient, Janelle, the practical anchor, Christine, the loving heart, and Robyn, the emotional connection he couldn't seem to resist. But power has a way of blinding, and Kody's desire to keep everyone in line became a slow poison that corroded the very foundation of trust. He didn't notice the shift at first, how Meri's voice began to quiet in family meetings, how Janelle stopped seeking his advice, how Christine's laughter faded. He was too busy justifying his decisions, believing his guidance was what held them together. In truth, it was their love for one another that built the walls of their home, not his rules. Christine was the first to leave. Her smile, once so wide and warm, had grown thin. She had begged, pleaded, cried for understanding, and when none came, she stood tall and walked away. Not out of anger, but out of survival. That day, Kody watched her load the final box into her car. He stood frozen on the porch. She didn't look back. The sun hit her face as she stepped into her new beginning. He saw peace in her expression, and that's when he realized he was no longer part of her definition of family. Janelle followed months later. She had always been independent, more a friend than a romantic partner. But over the years, even friends deserve respect. Her breaking point wasn't loud. It was quiet, dignified, sharp. She gathered her children, her dignity, and walked. "You don't hear me," she told him once. "You just direct me." And she was right. Meri held on the longest. She clung to history, to the years they had struggled together, the years they built something they thought was sacred, but love, without nurturing, decays. Her pain was perhaps the deepest, not because she didn't expect it, but because she had hoped against hope that he would choose her again. He didn't. And when she finally let go, there was nothing left but silence between them. And then there was Robyn, the one he did choose, the one he leaned into when everything else was crumbling. But even that love, once so fiery and fierce, had begun to flicker. Not because Robyn wasn't loyal, but because Kody had become a man haunted by the echoes of what he'd lost. And in his attempt to hold tightly to her, he crushed what little space remained between them. The once vibrant family gatherings had become awkward, fragmented. Birthdays were now separate events. Grandchildren were being raised in different states. The family texts became shorter, colder, and Kody began to feel the cold he had unknowingly created. He would stare at the dining room table late at night, the same table where laughter used to bounce off the walls, where stories were told, prayers were shared, and dreams were built. Now, it was polished, pristine, untouched, just like his heart. What haunted Kody the most wasn't the silence, it was the memories. Of Meri holding his hand through financial crises, of Janelle staying up late to help with the children's homework when he was too tired, of Christine baking cinnamon rolls before sunrise just to surprise the kids, of Robyn whispering words of encouragement when he felt the world was against him. He had been loved deeply, truly, but he had failed to cherish it in time. One evening, Kody found an old photo album. Dust clung to its spine. As he flipped through the pages, he saw smiles, celebrations, new babies, vacations, even tears, all moments frozen in time. His fingers trembled as he traced the image of Christine and the kids at a picnic. A genuine smile spread across her face. He looked at his own smile in the same photo. It was real. Then, they were real. And he wept, not out of self-pity, but from a pain so deep it cracked open something inside him. He thought of calling them each one to say, "I'm sorry," to say, "I finally see it." But he didn't, not yet, because he knew apologies now needed action, not words. The damage was